Alright, let me explain why this whole system even exists. Every calendar we've ever used, Julian, Gregorian, Hebrew, they all have one problem in common. They drift. Not because they're bad, but because they're approximations of something precise. Over long periods of time, those tiny errors stack up. And when you're trying to map something like biblical chronology across thousands of years, those errors become massive. So the big idea here is simple. If every calendar introduces error, then you can't use calendars as your foundation. You need something more precise. And that's where the FDN protocol comes in. So instead of using calendars, the FDN system does something radically different. It just counts days. That's it. No months, no leap years, no adjustments. Just one continuous count, day after day after day. Every single day gets a number. No resets, no corrections. Think of it like this. Calendars are like street names. They help you describe where something is. But FDN? That's the GPS coordinate. It's exact. It doesn't drift. And it doesn't care what calendar you're using. Now, if you're going to count days, you need a starting point. And this system doesn't pick one randomly. FDN1 is defined as the day Adam fell, the moment humanity moved from immortality into mortality. That's when time, as we experience it, actually begins. Everything before that operates under a different system, what the paper calls immortality physics. But from that moment forward, it's a clean, continuous count. Day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way forward. And this choice of starting point is not just symbolic, it's structural. Because the fall is the exact moment when time switches from one system to another. Before that, time behaves differently. After that, it's consistent. One day equals one day. So if you want a system that tracks human history accurately, you have to start where human time actually begins. That's why FDN doesn't go backward. It only moves forward from that moment. Once you have that starting point, the rest is straightforward. Every day just adds one. FDN1 is the first day. FDN2 is the next. FDN 365 is just the 365th day. No assumptions, no calendar rules. And here's where it gets interesting. The system doesn't force anniversaries. They emerge naturally from the count. That's something calendars have to fake. FDN doesn't. Here's a subtle but powerful detail. You'd think the anniversary of the fall would land on day 365, but it doesn't. Because a true year isn't exactly 365 days, it's slightly more. So the actual anniversary shows up on day 366. And the system figures that out automatically, just by counting. No leap years, no adjustments. That's what the paper calls the anniversary protocol. And it's one of the first signs that the system is self-correcting. Now, here's the next step. Most biblical events are described in years, not days. So to plug them into this system, you convert years into days using the true solar year. Not 365, not 365.25, but 365.2421896698 days. That becomes your conversion key. So if something is 2,000 years apart, you multiply it out, convert it to days, and add it to the starting FDN. That gives you a precise position in the timeline. Once you have that day number, something important happens. Calendars become optional. You can still assign a date, like September 11th or March 11th, but that's just a label. The real value is the number. Because numbers don't argue. They don't drift. They don't depend on calendar systems. So instead of debating dates, you're working with exact positions in time. And this is where the system really levels up. Because it doesn't just calculate, it verifies. Every FDN can be tested using a simple modulo 7 check to confirm the weekday. If the math is right, the weekday matches. If it's wrong, it doesn't. There's no gray area, No close enough. It either passes or fails. So the system actually checks itself. When you run this system across the full timeline, everything locks together. From Adam to Abraham to Christ, all the way to the millennium. And here's the wild part. Key events land on the same exact weekday and date alignment. Not by forcing it, but because the math holds. That's why the paper calls this the spine of the entire framework. Because once this is in place, every other calculation hangs off of it. And every single day, all the way through the timeline, is accounted for.